Hi Joy, welcome to my garden. As we were talking earlier, I want to start right out here. We had a hummingbird come and try to get some nectar out of this obedient plant, which as you can tell isn't very obedient. I put a few in a few years ago and they seed easily, quickly. So this is mostly obedient plant with some kind of sunflower in here. It's hard to find the names, so I'm not going to give out names and then give a wrong one. But there are little sunflowers dotted throughout. This garden is, I don't know, 15, 20 years old. More of the obedient plant growing. And even though it's so aggressive, it brings in the bees and the hummingbirds, and that's my point. By the way, my garden is a natural garden, so you will see that it isn't perfect anywhere. What makes it doable for Columbia Association is that each garden is neatly, I do have lawnmowers and guys who will trim and make nice gardens out of it, so it looks very neat. Up here, this is a blue mist flower, and it also is aggressive like this obedient plant, and so pretty soon that blue will be everywhere. It's just starting to open. Coneflower, purple coneflower. Now this is an interesting plant. It's finished blooming. It's Baptisia. It has pods at the end of its season. It has pods full of seeds. So there's lots of these growing now that I did not plant, but the seeds fall. And if anybody wants any of these seeds, they're welcome to them. In the spring, it's a lovely little plant. This one has purple flowers. There are some that have yellow or white. Only bloom for maybe 2 weeks max, I think. But they would be nice along a fence to keep them upright while the pods are forming. This one is the golden ragwort. It took 2 years, but you can see how it is spreading. By the way, this is a nice little bench to have. I can sit on it to weed, which I've been doing for 3 days to get the stiltgrass out of here. This, by the way, is a spice bush. There are little berries on here, so by fall they'll turn red, and the birds love it. So this is a native bush. I've got millions of them popping up everywhere in the yard. So I keep pulling them. People can have any that I pull if they want, but it's a fun tree to have. Birds love it. Again, natural garden, native plants is what my garden is about. So you'll notice it's not perfectly, things are not perfectly placed and all of that. Somebody gave me some ferns one year, and my whole backyard ended up in ferns. And then the other thing I want to point out here in this corner, this is a dogwood, and white dogwood, and it was a free tree. Now again, the deer, I know we've got 2 babies that have been walking around the backyard, so a lot of my branches are being eaten off, I can tell. But this was a free tree through Columbia, so you get that email every year. I have several of them here in my backyard. Now this was a dogwood I bought at Home Depot many years ago, thinking it was the American native dogwood, and it's not, it's the Chinese, but it blooms beautifully, and it just fits in there, and gets the white blooms in the spring. It looks really nice. I've got some more of those plants that I talked about in front that are beginning to multiply. They do have a yellow flower in the spring, so this will all be covered in the spring with those yellow flowers, and hopefully You know, they're easy to pull up if they come out into the lawn. But because of all this beautiful shade I have back here, there's really no lawn. So I now use the wood chips for my pathways and for this section of the lawn. And that way I don't have to worry about mud and all of that. The stilt grass is even coming in here. Another free tree. This one was my first one. And dogwood, and that's fun. Now people often ask me about a shady ground cover because Pachysandra is not encouraged. As a matter of fact, it's discouraged. And I have pulled Pachysandra from that side of the house, lots of different places, but I still have it. This is this Norway maple tree that was here when we bought the house. It has white flowers in the fall, so it's called a white wood aster. And it has pretty much stayed here. Some of it's now starting to move out, but it's been here a long time. And the ferns have taken over a little bit too. And then I have an invasive non-native plant that comes in. Kind of pretty when it blooms, but it doesn't belong here. Somebody gave me this buckeye tree. One of the master gardeners from years ago gave me this buckeye tree. Little thing. So I had my granddaughter help me plant it. So when she comes, she knows that's her tree. Big flowers in the spring and early summer. And the swallowtails, the tiger swallowtails, well, all the swallowtails love this tree. There could be 6, 7, 8 of them on here at one time. And a free river birch. Now that's going to get really big. And river birch love wet ground, and they can take water and all of that. And there is, when we have rains, the water comes down here. And river-like speed too at times. Normally, this is the common milkweed. So they're really cute little plants, and they grow to be this tall. And they're not doing well at all. I have not found any caterpillars. I looked because it would be so fun to find a monarch caterpillar. They're the yellow ones with the black stripes, and they're beautiful. So I don't know if you can see this plant right here. It's got little teeny buds on the vine over here. That's a Calicarpa, and it will have kind of a purple-red flower on it. This is my compost bin here. So I've got some nice rich soil in here. And then this is kind of a holding place for whatever, seeds or whatever I might be putting in there. And I just couldn't resist one day putting up a little clothesline because it was a perfect day, and I hung some shirts out here, and so that's, don't trip over that. So I'm getting some rocks ready to give to a lady who's having a water dripping in a place in her garden, so we're going to make a little rock thing for her. So again, just more of the kind of the same old plants that are loving to take over. I have an azalea in there, and the birds love this. I put it in a bar of whatever, you know, peanut butter or the whatever. So this plant, this is a bush called an Ikea, and it has white flowers in the summer, and it just keeps spreading and spreading. Actually in the spring. So this is kind of fun, and my husband bought the house in 1972. I lived in Chicago and I stayed there with our 2 little ones. And I said, you just go find something, but this is what I want, what I would like to have. And I've told this story. It was recently told somewhere. Anyway, he couldn't find anything in Baltimore, so the realtor reluctantly brought him to Columbia, and he saw this, and all of my requirements were not about the inside, but about the outside. Nature, you know, birds, flowers, gardens, walkable for the kids, street lights, that kind of thing. And so he found this. So behind me here is 193 acres of the Blandair Park on the north side of 175. So nothing has been put in here yet. Probably won't be for a while. And the pathway that goes down to the creek, so the kids love that. So lots of nature here, and even though we had all the trucks in the front yard there for a minute, it's really quite quiet. And then of course Thunderhill Road from 175 to 108 is just beautiful trees on both sides of the street. So it's lovely driving here, and I'm very blessed to be in a place where nature abounds and gives me joy, peace, and something to take care of now. So Joy, I also want to tell you what I'm doing for my vegetable gardening this year. I have an Anaheim chili pepper here. There are 3 of them growing, and I've got one in the fridge. Here's 2 little bell peppers starting out. So with limited space, you know, I just didn't want to I don't have all that much sun except in that garden over there. So yeah, so I've got the bell pepper, and then this is it's a basil of type. It's like, I think it said, I don't know where the ticket is, but like a basil from Vietnam. So it's not like the basil we normally see here. But you know, I've thrown it in some different things I'm making for a different flavor, and so it's just kind of fun. But when I saw those first peppers, I said, oh, this is going to work. And I also think I have grown little tomatoes, the cherry tomatoes, and but not in a deeper pot. I would have done better had I had a deeper pot, but that's fun too. Wild begonia, and it's just beginning to flower, and it's spreading, and it is spreading up my railing there, and I love that. I love that. So that's pretty. And then you can see I've got some pots out here, and some clematis that climbed up that this spring and bloomed. Purple coneflowers, some more of the little yellow ones that I don't have the official name for. And then every year I have a different set, a different bunch of flowers here. This is the first time I've used this one, but it's spreading. It's taken the hot afternoon sun just fine. This is a little Japanese tree that gets white flowers in early spring, and they last almost a month. And it's just so pretty to look out the front door and see this. So I do have a few non-native things. I bought this red maple 2 summers ago, 2 springs ago. And I bought that in case any family member ends up buying this house, which might be a possibility, talking about a granddaughter. And I thought, yep, I'm going to put that there, and it's going to shade, and it's going to be red and gold in this fall, and they'll always remember who planted it. Grandma. That's it.